gents, welcome back to another Way Brothers video. I'm Nate.
And I'm Cody, and today we're talking about 8 essential games for your starter board game collection.
Yes, we are. So,
Indeed.
These are board games that we agreed kind of half and half on, more or less. So these
Dual
are
contribution.
our top 8 starters for you.
Yeah.
All right, number 1 on the list is, you may have heard of it, Pandemic.
Yes.
Cody, why would this be on the list?
Because, first off, you need a cooperative game in your collection, and Pandemic is probably the single most commonly recommended cooperative game. Wouldn't you say, Nate?
I would agree with that, yes.
Yeah, it is immensely popular. Most anyone you talk to is going to recommend that you have this game in your starter collection. For one, it's difficult. As far as cooperative games goes, this is a difficult game to win, and it's going to really enhance that cooperative sense because you need to work really closely with your comrades to make sure that you're doing everything you need to. Each person is using their special abilities and knows, like, it's not just a turn-by-turn game, in which case you just kind of, okay, now I guess I'll do something. You have to know exactly how the game is going to progress as different things happen. So, Pandemic.
And if you get this game and you really like it, Pandemic is not just this Pandemic, but the Pandemic universe is huge.
Yes.
You have Legacy now, you have Pandemic Season 1, Season 2, Season 0, Pandemic Iberia. I mean, there's tons. They're in the double digits for Pandemic, just standalone games.
Yeah.
So if you like this, it'll just get you started on your addiction.
Yeah,
so
it's a good way to roll from.
Maybe that's good or bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, number 1.
Next up, we've got
Castles of Burgundy. This is, by all accounts, just an incredible game. It really is. It's so unique with rolling dice and then using the numbers that show up on those dice to do different things on the board and then on your own player mat and then building your tableau or your kingdom on this mat. There's just endless replayability in this game because there's so many tokens and they get randomly flipped up. And it's just, the mechanics work so well. I have played, I don't even know how many games of this. I played it like nonstop for 2 months. So it's definitely, it's a very accessible game. It takes a while to get the strategy, a good strategy down
just
for
a little bit, yeah.
But it's just so much fun. It just is. And they even reprinted it, and the anniversary edition looks really, really good. So if you're on a budget, this is actually a really good bang for buck game. It's like less than $30. And if you can splurge a little, the anniversary edition is like really, really,
it's got some fun stuff.
Really nice. And
that's
some mini expansions.
It includes them, which is pretty cool.
Definitely a really good game. Anything to say about it?
No, Castles of Burgundy.
Summed it up. It's amazing. All right, so number 3 is
Splendor, and primarily because this is a really unique combination of set collection, drafting, and tableau building. On top of that, it is very simple to teach. There's not too many rules. You can check out our How to Play video on Splendor. It's not too long because it's a simple game. I really like this game because it's easy to break out in game nights. I like to come prepared to game nights with games that are not too complicated to teach but are still very fun.
Definitely.
Splendor is a prime example of it.
It's a good, almost, I wouldn't say filler game, but it's very easy to set up, very easy to learn, very easy to play, and you just play like 2 or 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. And that's important.
And you can be, it's like a variety of game situations too, because I played a game where one person ends up with 2 points in the end and someone wins with 15, or games where it's really, really close at the end. It's like 14, 14, 15. So
that is a high variety.
Yes. High variety. All right, and number 4 we
have Royals. This is a little more obscure. It's not like a main, like Pandemic or Castles of Burgundy.
It is a dice tower.
It is a dice tower essential.
Yeah.
So that should already tell you something off the bat if you know who that is.
Yeah.
This is it's like area control broken down to a very core. It has very good, because that's really all it is. There's not much theme here. There's actually like almost no theme here. It's very like just plastered on theme.
Yeah. It's Royals.
Yeah. But and you just have little cubes, but you're using these cubes to influence different areas on the board.
Yeah.
And it's not that simple because there's finer rules to that. But at the end of the day, there's just a lot of good player interaction and just very basic area control. So as a starter for area control games, I would say this is a very good place to start.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
All right, our next game is Viticulture.
Viticulture is one of my favorite games. Maybe it's just because it's a Stonemaier game and Stonemaier only comes out with gems, but yeah, Viticulture. This is a prime example of a worker placement game. Castles of Burgundy could be argued in a sense to be a worker placement. It's a dice placement game, but it's not the best example of one. Viticulture is a prime example of a worker placement game. You're going through different seasons on the map trying to manage where your workers are going onto different actions. You're competing for those spots because each action space can only be filled up a certain number of times. And games usually have compelling themes. Viticulture is literally just wine growing, but for some reason, it's so much fun. Yeah.
They made it fun, and they made it stressful.
Very stressful. Yeah, you want to get those grapes planted. You want them to grow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as all worker placement games have varying levels of stress, with like probably Agricola being at this end, and like I don't even know at the other end.
Champions of Midgard.
Yeah, maybe Champions of Midgard. Yeah. So, but this is it's not super complex, probably not as complex as Castles of Burgundy, but it's probably still the next most complex game on this list.
It's still got some decent amount.
There's a lot of different strategy. There's one main strategy, but a lot of different ways you can do it. It's
a very balanced game because you have to have a lot of each component of the game.
And you wouldn't, if you didn't know anything about it, you wouldn't think it was fun, but it just is.
It is.
There's no other way. Without playing it, you just can't get that message across any better.
When I first got this game, it was played, I don't know, a few times each week. I know that doesn't sound like much, but I'm a busy person, and that's a lot for each week to be playing. Yeah. All right, and for number 6, we're looking at
Carcassonne or Carcassonne. If you're weird. This is one of the OG games. I don't know how else to put it.
This is pre-Catan, isn't it?
No.
It's not?
It is not. This game is early 2000s. Catan is late 90s.
Okay. It feels older. It feels much older.
Well...
Maybe it's just me. All right. Tell us about it.
I can see why you would say that. But this is a very, very good and kind of like the original tile placement game. I'm sure there's another one, but this one does it the best.
Yeah.
No doubt. This one definitely does it the best. And because of that, it's become the most popular tile placement game of all time, and probably always will be, because it's just there's not too many rules, but there's just so many... There's a lot of different ways to get points, and just it feels like endless different strategies to this game, and such good player interaction, because every tile you draw is building the board, and then you're placing people on those tiles you're playing, and you can place them anywhere, so you can sabotage things other people are trying to do.
You can mess with people in this game.
Definitely, which are some of the best games where you can just out of spite just do something to hurt someone else.
Yep.
So it's a very just streamlined, very good version of a tile placement game. Yeah. So it might not get a lot of buzz anymore because it is pretty old, but it's definitely worth. You can probably find it for pretty cheap. Definitely worth owning.
Yeah, and it feels like a classic game. Just the way that the tiles are set up. This is where the term meeples was originally coined.
Yeah.
It could be argued as one of the classic games.
All right, and second to last, we have
Dominion. Rio Grande Games, same maker as the previous game, Carcassonne. This is probably the epitome, the beginner deck builder game. You can argue with us if you want. You're probably right that there's some game that preceded this, but this is the prime example of a deck builder, a card drafting game. It is fun. Just the base game, you can get a lot of hours of gameplay out. Yes. There's a lot of strategies to adopt. The game has... Even though there's no board, essentially a variable board set up because you can play with different cards in each game. And on top of that, I'm pretty sure there's 8 stinking expansions for this game.
At least.
Yeah.
There might be more. There's full-on expansions, and then there's smaller expansions.
Yep.
There's a lot. I mean, it was popular, and because of that, there's a lot more content out there for you.
It kept going.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. This is one of the first games that really got me into gaming, and I still own this game and have played it I don't even know how many times. Just about more than any other game I've played by far. Yeah. So yeah, it's just fun. And when you finally get tired of the base set, you can drop $35 to double the amount of content you have, and now you have even more options to blend this with all those. It's just very well made, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. We're not ranking all these games in a particular order. We do been presenting them in an order, but ignore that. But I personally would argue that this is one of the most classic games. And we just said about Carcassonne, but probably Catan and Dominion are you need these in your board game collection.
You definitely do.
Yeah.
Or you at least need to try and play them.
Yes. Please
At
do.
least once.
Please
or else
do.
your opinion just
Doesn't
doesn't
matter.
count.
All right, and we're going to finish off with...
Settlers of Catan.
Woo!
Or Catan, if you're an imbecile.
Right.
There's a lot of back and forth on this game. This is one of the games that really brought a new era of gaming to America.
Eurogaming, especially.
Yeah, and everyone loved it. Everyone loved it. And now, everyone hates it, because it's not... This is interesting. This game is apparently not cool to own anymore. Like, this is the game that's cool to hate on, kind of like Monopoly is. Like, if you're a gamer, you don't like Catan anymore. You're too cool for Catan. I totally disagree with that.
Yeah.
I 100% disagree with that
Disagree.
statement. This game is incredible.
This is the classic game.
It is. It's just, the more you play it, the more you realize that the luck factor is kind of annoying, and it can be really annoying. But there is so much player interaction and trading in this game. This is a trading game. It's a building game, it's a resource collecting game, but it's primarily, I would say, a trading game. If you don't trade, you're going to lose. That's just how it works, unless you get really lucky.
Yeah.
And not only this, but if you're going to get this game, and if you like this game, and if you hate this game because you've only played this, you need to get the expansions for it. Cities and Knights more than doubles the content. It completely radicalizes the game and makes it way better.
It's much more aggressive.
And then if you want a big board, you get Seafarers, which will double the size of the board and throw water tiles in
and
there.
get the extensions for all the not campaigns, the expansions.
Yes.
The extensions make it a 5 to 6 player game.
Players, yeah. And you can get a 6-player Catan game with Cities and Knights and Seafarers is really as close to epic as Catan can get. So, love it or hate it, it's hard to argue that this should not be an essential starter game. It's hard to argue that it shouldn't be.
Perhaps the Monopoly of the 21st century.
See, but that gives it a bad name.
Okay.
Because I kind of agree that Monopoly kind of sucks.
Monopoly is a board flipping game. This is just a flipping awesome game.
It's just a flipping awesome game. So, let us know what you think in the comments. Maybe you disagree with every single choice. Maybe you agree with every single choice.
Yeah.
Which would be cool.
In the end, it doesn't matter. I'm just kidding. We love you guys.
Watch more videos, guys. Thanks for watching this one.
Yep.